because we believe in hiring local people from the community helps the understand and overall flow of the operation go so much smoother. Also, city councils appreciate us stimulating their economy and stuff like that. So it all works into that whole play. And they really do. They work. They already understand the map. They understand everything. They know where to put scooters, what's the best restaurants, what gets the most foot traffic, stuff like that.
Welcome back to another installment of the Next Gen Case Study Series. On today's episode, I have with me Alex Zimmermann, who is the founder and CEO of Peel Scooters, a company committed to providing affordable, eco-friendly micro-mobility solutions. Peel aims to reduce carbon emissions and foster community engagement by offering accessible electric scooters as a transportation alternative. Zimmermann's vision focuses on modernizing transportation in small town communities, making mobility greener and more convenient for users, which is why we're excited to have him on the show. Alex, welcome to the program.
Glad to be here. What an intro, man. Can I bring you to the next city council meeting I go to? I could use you in my corner.
Yeah, feel free to take that word for word and use it how you see fit. I'm happy to have you on here, Alex. It's exciting what you're up to, and I'm looking forward to kind of digging into it. Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, though, Alex, let's start with just a couple of minutes on your background. You know, who you are, where you came from, and how you landed the role of CEO of PL Scooters.
Yeah, man. So, Alex Zimmermann, we started, my partner and I, Antonio and I, started Peel Scooters about 4 years ago, right in the midst of kind of the pandemic. What a great time to start a business. But what makes Peel unique, it is an electric scooter company, much like Bird and Lime, but we kind of specialize in our niches, which are smaller communities where the bigger companies usually overlook, so they won't give the time of day. And initially going in there is a risk because if the bigger companies aren't in there, they're probably in there not in there for a reason. But it turned out to be quite the opposite. Our numbers are actually outperforming some of the larger companies in the markets we've chosen. So it was a huge risk. What inspired me and Antonio to start the scooter company was we were out in Charlotte one day when we were riding scooters, and we were 19 at the time. We were broke, and we spent $60 on some scooters. And we're like, wow, if it's that easy to make $60, I mean, I can do this anywhere. Him and I both grew up in Kannapolis, North Carolina, which is about 30 minutes located outside of Charlotte. Growing up there, the downtown was dead. There was really nothing to do. But as soon as we went off to college, this huge spur of development went down, and they kind of like bulldozed the entire block and redid it. So a bunch of breweries, shops, a whole baseball stadium popped up. And that's when we connected the two ideas. Okay, we can give this scooter idea a shot in our hometown. Ultimately, it didn't work out with them, but it is what gave us the idea. So from that point on, we actually did the High Point Furniture Market trade show for 2 years to keep the lights on because we had amassed amount of debt holding scooters with nowhere to put them. But it was a bi-yearly trade show in High Point, North Carolina. It's actually a pretty crazy event if you're going to check it out. About 100,000 people fly in, and it's like the #1 revenue generator for the state. It's insane. It was a lot of fun when we did there, and huge appreciation to the High Point Furniture Market staff that gave us that shot until we landed our first city, which is Albemarle, North Carolina, and then later on Conway, South Carolina by Myrtle Beach. So that's kind of gets you up to speed on where we're at right now and the whole vision.
Wow, really powerful. I love the idea of kind of going after that middle market. I think that that's as a trend seems to be something that's catching on.
Yes, sir.
Um, a lot of people either are aiming for the top and trying to get that $1 million deal, or
Yep.
they're aiming at volume and trying to get a million single dollars from a million single
Right.
people. And so to kind of reach that middle area, there's blue waters there, and I think that you tapped into something like that. One of the things that I know must have been a challenge here is getting the cities or getting the towns or getting the councils on board with something like this. I know that that has been a big headache for the big guys. Mind you, the pioneers often get the bloodiest, so some of the bigger guys have taken the brunt of that. I wonder if maybe you could share a little bit about what your approach was to kind of enrolling people in this idea, giving them the pitch and getting them to give you that green check mark.
Right. So is it, excuse my language, is a pain in the ass at times dealing with these. You have to. Small bureaucracies are not the most efficient and not the easiest to work with, but once you kind of understand who they are, what they want, you get a better idea. And some are more progressive than others and easier working. Like the city of Albemarle, when we first got to start with them, they showed us the most respect and support and love, and they got our business started. But our initial approach, because like you said, a lot of the times we do with some of the cities of shared interests that we're going after now as we get bigger, we're fighting against birds and limes and stuff like that. So what sets us apart and makes us unique in the market is we take on a more hands-on approach to the whole thing. Bird will come in and they'll say, okay, we'll give X amount of scooters. They'll send a rep from corporate to come out and kind of oversee the job. Me personally, I go out to every site. I do the mapping myself with a local hire because we believe in hiring local people from the community helps the understand and overall flow of the operation go so much smoother. Also, city councils appreciate us stimulating their economy and stuff like that. So it all works into that whole play. And they really do. They work. They already understand the map. They understand everything. They know where to put scooters, what's the best restaurants, what gets the most foot traffic, stuff like that. So yeah, just honestly being honest with the smaller city councils and saying this is what we are, this is what we do, and having that personal guarantee from me, the owner, saying I'm going to come out here for the first week or so and make sure everything is going the way it should be and continues to go that way goes a long way. Showing face as a smaller company.
Yeah, that the human element of it, I think, is what is often overlooked, and the big pushback is that inevitably the people or the users, there are this small subsect of that group of people who don't necessarily respect the idea or the equipment. And so, to some degree, it ends up becoming trash or
Of
an
course.
eyesore. And some of the stuff I know in the bigger city, like I'm in Calgary, so we're a little over 1.5 million people, and we've had all three of the big names come through here, and uh, I don't know who's left, but I do know whatever equipment has been left here isn't in the greatest shape, and so that
Right.
makes another logistical nightmare. And so I'm curious to learn how your approach to that is in terms of kind of keeping a fresh face on it, staying in touch, and maintaining that human element. That must be a difficult feat.
Yes, 100%. Two things I would say. One, good people, good hiring, like running the show at that area. And
Hmm.
two, consistent data management. So
Hmm.
we have back-end software that shows the condition of our scooters in real time, all day, every day, 24/7. It goes as far as to where if a scooter gets lifted up like 3 feet to like a truck bed per se, we'll get a notification on our phone for theft. So we know where everything is in real time and how they are. And then what we have kind of a handbook we give to fleet managers, which would be our employees, kind of giving them a checklist daily and weekly to go through it. Say if they're, I know you can't see this, but I got one right behind me. But say if you have a flat tire, okay, we have the parts for you. Replace it before it can be marked as rideable. Say if there is one bad on the street right now, we'll be able to tell, and I can actually go online on the app and mark it as unable to use, and kind of put out a message if a rider tries to access it, the scooter is unsafe, so they know that it's just the scooter has an issue and it's just us not working.
Hmm.
So there's ways to get around it and keep face. It's also a huge deal with the cities because city council is putting their face out there, letting your company come in. So you want to respect that and not have a bunch of shitty scooters out on the street that reflect your brand. It's kind of taking pride in your city and pride in your brand. So it's important to make sure those scooters are good and working.
Okay, so there's another side to this too that I'm really curious about, which is once the scooters are out there, is that as far as the marketing goes? Because I was always curious how you kind of get everybody on board. Is it just the natural curiosity of this scooter that's just sitting there looking cool, people wondering what's up with it, or like what was your angle when you went to the go to market for the like publicly facing message?
It really is getting them out there. They honestly sell themselves. Um, what we used to do is you put a little hang tag infographic. Of course, all the scooters already have a QR code on them, but not everybody knows you can just walk up and scan that QR code and it takes you to our app. So we put a little like 5-step plan on how everything works and what to do, and then from there we like tag our Instagram, and then word just flies within the city because, like I said, these middle market areas that we apply scooters coming there are a big deal all the time. So, hey, this guy's on a scooter.
Yeah.
Where'd that come from? What's going on? And then word of mouth works out. Definitely social media is something we're looking to increase our footprint on because we haven't done a great job with that, and it is huge.
Hmm.
But yeah, I can remember when I first went to Albemarle, I would literally drive out with a trailer full of like 20 scooters and have them a generator attached to the trailer, charging them in a parking lot. And I'll remember this day, like 20 random cars came up, stopped me, and rented one just from that trailer right there. So
No
it's pretty
kidding.
cool. I was like, okay, we might be onto something here, and that kind of kept everything going. But yeah, word of mouth goes a far way.
So with the word of mouth thing, I know that when there is when there's a product or a solution to something that is so good it's worth talking about, that is what kind of spurs along the growth of that, and that's what encourages people to, do the referral thing. Um, I remember growing up in a small town too, and that was such a big deal when we got our first Tim Hortons, which is like a local
Right.
coffee thing here, and everybody was just like, lineups around the block, and so to have that excitement initially, to have people want to participate in it, is really cool. But then after that initial kind of novelty wears off, what happens then? Do you see kind of like a really big rise in usage and then it kind of drops off to an average, or do you see like a pretty steady flow of customers coming through?
That is a fantastic question. Yes. So initially, after launch, you will have this massive spike in numbers because
Mhm.
everyone's fine now, getting used to it. Then it kind of fizzles down to like your average riding points. And of course, our business is seasonal with weather. In the
Mm.
summer, spring, and fall, we're at our peak usage, and then winter. Luckily for me, being in North Carolina, is short and mild, so it doesn't really affect us that bad.
Mm.
But yes, it kind of fizzles out after that initial pop. But it fizzles out. I mean, if it fizzled out to a point where it wasn't profitable, I wouldn't be doing it. Very good numbers we still get. It's just that first initial couple, I'd say first month is insane explosive data. So, but yeah, it still stays profitable and still people still ride them. You have your people that ride them for leisure, and then some people actually do use them to commute, which is pretty cool to see in a smaller town. And
Yeah.
also, family in Buffalo, so we love Tim Hortons. Wanted to elaborate on that. I know.
Okay, there we go. I was wondering if you'd catch that one.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's exciting. So, how many cities are you guys in now?
Right now we're in Albemarle, North Carolina, Conway, South Carolina. Someone actually franchised through us to go to Wooster, Ohio, which is like a curveball out there, which is interesting. And then this spring we're on track to add another two to our arsenal,
Okay, excellent.
which is
So,
great.
so what's the process then? Is this like you have to go to the city, you have to get approval, you got to get like walk me through what that looks like from a bird's eye view.
So when it started, me and my partner, he built this he coded a system that just emailed every single city in the state of North Carolina.
Ah.
Then a lot would ignore us. Some answered, some didn't. And then we kind of chiseled down from there what seemed feasible based on population and downtown size. And
Hmm.
then once you select it, yes, I actually go in person to the city council and give a speech. And then they'll kind of feel me out from there. I'll feel them out what the vibe is. Usually from that point on, you got to stick with it because usually it takes 5 to 6 months. They're
Mm.
you're not going to be their top priority. They're not going to really push your scooters to the front. So you just kind of stay in their ear, stay in their ear. Then a contract agreement will be brought up. But the contract agreement is after we go in there, we map out what they want, which is what we call geofencing. When we geofence, we can apply slow zones, parking zones, no ride zones, service areas, all stuff that the city has their say in to what they think will be best for the people. And once that's done, we'll make some sort of contract agreement or service agreement, and then we'll set a launch date, and then the rest will carry out. So it is a long process that can take up to a year.
Yeah, that's a tough one because
It
when
is.
when the business is like relying on the income from being set up, when you have to
But
sit on it for such a long time, and I get too that there's a significant investment in this too on the front end because you got to get the equipment, you got to get the parts for repairs and things like that, you got to get the tools and then build out the team. So totally get the challenge there in waiting for it. So as we kind of look forward into the future here for what's in store, you mentioned off camera that we got a couple of really solid deals that just came through. You closed something and you're aiming at some more. So what's in store for the future of Peel and what are you aiming at?
right. So right now we're just in grow, grow, grow mode. As we just talked about how some cities can take 6 to 5 months. I'm not going to name drop the cities yet because we just finished up and I want to make sure everything goes through. I learned a lesson of speaking before the ink is actually dried.
Yeah,
So
fair
it's an
enough.
important lesson right there. But this one will be our largest. It's about 80,000 population. So we're going to have to double our initial amount. We're probably bringing around 30 to 50 scooters to get started. And we like to scale based on demand from that point. But yeah, the future is just grow. Keep shooting at cities, stay in their ear as much as we can take. And like you said, procurement is everything comes from China.
Mhm.
Sometimes they have a stockpile in the US in certain warehouses. But when those run dry, man, you can have to wait up to 3 to 4 months for that boat to come over with scooters. So it is best to have everything planned out. But sometimes it doesn't go that way. So yeah, right now, buy scooters, stockpile them, get contracts, and put them there. That's the plan.
Yeah, that's exciting, man. There's a lot in store for it, and the vision of creating. I just love the idea of this micro mobility solution for these smaller towns, especially for, to your point, people are actually using this to commute
Yeah.
from place to place. The inspiration for this whole idea and you deciding to kind of push through it, what were some of the lessons that you learned? You mentioned before, one of them is, don't celebrate before the ink dries. I get that one.
Yes.
But what else have you learned along the way here you think would be valuable to pass on to others?
Two main things. One, definitely number one is resilience, because it's gonna suck at times and the future is gonna look dismal. But
Mm.
I truly think if you stay resilient, you believe in yourself and your team, or your partner, or if it's just yourself, and you just keep going. If you keep driving down the same road, you'll eventually get to your destination, even though how hard that may be. I really do believe in just sticking in the game. You'll be fruitful. And then the other one is be smart with your money. That is probably the more important one, maybe. Reinvest, especially when you're bootstrapping and being in a brand new business. It is crucial to put everything you earn back into the business. Don't take salary if you don't have to. Put it back into equipment, your people, growth, your vision, and save that money so you have opportunities open up in the future and you have that money to use. So those would be my main two things, probably.
Man, super exciting. I'm really looking forward to the progress and the growth that you're making. This is exciting to see somebody targeting a very clear void in the market, and I wish you much success in your endeavors here. If somebody wanted to reach out to you to pick your brain or perhaps work with you, what's the best way for them to do that?
Email. It'd be Alexander Zimmermann at peelscooters.com, which I will shoot you because that is extremely long and difficult to spell at times. So I'll make sure you have that so you can link it in the video.
Perfect. Yeah, we'll do that for anybody that's listening or watching. If you want to get in touch with Alex and get some of his scooters in your town, you can
There we go.
visit. You can check out the stuff in the show notes there. On that note, if you wanted to reach out to me and my team for any of your marketing or AI needs, you can visit nextgengrowth.com. Otherwise, that's it for this episode. Thanks for joining us for this conversation, and I will see you in the next.